Welcome, everyone. It's a little bit early, but we'll just wait a couple of moments for these people to come in. If you are seeing a tail in my frame, my cat has decided to join us for the webinar. So we'll see how that goes. So hopefully everyone's all good. This lovely fine day in New Zealand. I think I may as well start. It's only about 1 minute early. So this month, our webinar is on the automation that will now be available in version 7, or for anyone that currently has version 7. Some aspects of this, those of you that have our version 6 will recognize it, or recognize some aspects, I should say. This is building on what we already have, so hopefully this is all nice and informative for you. So, automation, we now over it? Yes. So automation is available in version 7 onwards. And it allows you to automate things like reminder sending, your diary next day texts, along with anything like a new client letter and many other options for you. So first I'm going to go through the reminder automation side of things. There's a few different steps to that one. Firstly, setting up the reminders. So reminders first need to exist before they can be sent through automation. This is in both version 6 and 7, the creation of reminders. So they are created under options, pick lists, miscellaneous, and then reminder types. I've got a screenshot up here of what that looks like once you've created one. You give it a name, you decide what your default period is. The period is the number of days, weeks, months, etc. And the period type is whether it is a day, a week, a month, etc. For the automation side of things, you want to make sure that the type is set correctly. In version 6, there is only 2 types, the vaccination and recall. Vaccination allows things like a vaccination certificate to be printed and keep track of vaccinations specifically. Recall was for any other type of reminder. In version 7, we have 2 other types as well, which is treatment and healthcare. Healthcare is just another category that you can label your reminders under, same as with recall. And treatment has an additional feature, which is it will automatically mark your reminder as done once it has been sent. This is regardless of whether you are sending it with automation or not. Any with a type of treatment will be marked as done automatically afterwards. So continuing through the setup itself, there is 2 ways you can add your reminders. The first is to the patient individually. So going to the patient's file on the general tab, if you click where the reminders are, well, right click where the reminders are, you are allowed to create a new reminder from there. You can also process a particular reminder and adjust it if you need to. You can also add them directly to a product. If they are added to a product, they will then automatically add at billing of that product. and they'll add to whoever you are billing the product for. They are added to the REM type section on the General tab of the product. So there's a couple of things that we can do. We can either convert your current setup through to your new automated setup, or we can create a brand new setup for you and alongside you, I should say. So if we are converting the current setup that you have to automation, this is what you're going to need to do. Looking at your current setup, so this is usually under reports, reminders, recalls. Just got a little snippet of it there. If you right-click on the reminder that you're wanting to automate, or the reminder run, as we call it here, you can select Automate. This will allow everything in the background to basically copy and paste into the automation section to be automated for you. When that right-click Automate has been done, it will appear in Reports Automation with a name that will start with auto underscore and then whatever name you already had. We do recommend you double check the setup of the automation before you send and before you start sending. This can be done over multiple days. If you plan on making the changes over multiple days, we recommend you pause the automation until it is completely set up and until you're ready to start sending those automatically. That's done by clicking the pause button on the automation itself. And if you're wanting to unpause it when you're ready, the button will then change to unpause for you to then undo. If you're creating a new automation, this can be done directly from Reports Automation. There is an Add New at the bottom. And this allows you to create the automation and the reporting side of it very, very similar to what you would already be doing. Please double check the name and the spelling of that name, because this cannot be changed later at this point. We are looking at changing that. Once you have created your report, you want to make sure that the table link for reminders specifically is set to CLN for client, ANM for animal, and REM for reminder. So client, animal, reminder. And you want to make sure that you've selected a 1 entry per. So this is in the middle on the right-hand side. You can decide whether it is going to be 1 per client. In other words, one reminder is received, be it per client, per patient, per reminder, or per letter. The letter one puts all reminders for all patients for a particular client onto the same document. You also, at the bottom, will need to select if you are wanting to send emails or texts, and whether you're wanting both to be available for sending or not. And you will need to select the relevant templates. Each automation only sends one type of communication. And this is to prevent over communication with the client. So if you create both an email and an SMS, only one of those will be sent per client. You will need to save this, and then the creation aspect is sorted. We then have to set it up as though, or for how you are hoping to achieve this communication with them. You'll need to set a start date for your automation. Automatically, it will assume today. If you're not wanting it to start today, do change that. You'll also see a channel 1 and channel 2. Channel 1 is your preferred method of communication with the clients. Your options will be email and SMS. You can also choose a channel 2 if you wish. Channel 1 is what will be sent preferably. If the client does not have the required details on their file for whichever one you picked to be sent, so for example, channel 1 is an email and the client does not have an email on file, it will then tell the system, we don't have an email, I can't send channel 1, I'll send channel 2, or in this case SMS, instead, because there is a mobile on file. That's specifically using the example on screen. We also need to set how often you're wanting the reminder to be sent. This is in the repeat every section. Every 1 month is a common setting for overdue reminders. 1 day is common for your due reminders, but these can be whatever your preference is. You will also need to set a cutoff time. So the cutoff time is the time at which the reminders are sent. They are generated at midnight, so unless you set a specific cutoff time for them to be sent, they will be sent as soon as they are generated, which is midnight. All reminder automations will need the filters set. So these will be specific depending on what you're trying to send. In this case, for reminder automations, you'll need to make sure that a REM type is set to whichever specific category of reminders you're trying to send. So this is your vaccinations, recalls, healthcare, or treatment. If you're wanting to send for one specific reminder instead of just that particular group, you will also need to specify that under the reminder field. In version 7, we do have a slight difference to the date system with the automation. So you'll need to make sure we have a rem due, so that is when the reminder is due. This is the range. So if we are specifying on date, that is specifically one particular day. If it says next 14 days, it is a range of 14 days. If it says next 30 days, it is a 30-day group. There are also ones in there for previous 7, previous 14, etc. There's quite a large range in there to pick from. There is also custom. Custom is the equivalent of your current settings. I would not recommend using the custom ones for the automation, because this will require you to go in and change those settings every single time it needs to be sent. Using the on date or next 14 or similar allows you to set and forget effectively. There is also in there, underneath the rem due, there is from. This allows you to set whether it is sending from today, from tomorrow, etc. The settings there are today, today plus, or today minus, and the field after is how many days. So today will be from now. Today plus 10 or today plus 14 is 10 or 14 days in the future. Today minus 14 is 14 days in the past. You also have the option to auto check if the particular individuals with reminders already have appointments booked in. This is the appointment dates from area. The setting is very similar to what I've just mentioned. On date, next however many days, previous however many days. Or custom. Again, I would not recommend using custom for this because it will require you to re-enter those dates every time. Whereas the plus and minus options or next however many days options allow you to set and forget. Once you've set these, save, and that's ready to run. Once you make sure that everything's unpaused, it'll be all ready to go. SMS automation is very similar. So this will look again very similar. So we go to create new because we won't have anything preset for this. So you go to reports automation, add new at the bottom, and again, choose a name for your automation. The table link you'll need for this one is APT for appointment and CLN ANM for your client and animal. So appointment, client, animal. And you'll need to select whether or not you are wanting this to be sent per patient or per client. Some clinics like the client to receive 2 reminders for 2 pets coming in consecutively. Some like them to be 1 for just that first appointment coming in. Again, you select your preferred method of communication and make sure that you've got a template appropriate for that one. Your email, text, or both. And once we've saved that, we come back to a very similar screen that I went through. So we make sure we have a start date and our channel 1 and 2. You must have a channel 1. Again, you do not need to have a channel 2. If you only plan on sending texts, then you don't have to send emails as well. For this type of connection, every 1 day is the most common for your repeat every. So for reminders, they might be different time periods. Most clinics are sending next day texts. You're sending it for 24 hours in the future. So sending daily would be most common. Again, make sure you have a cut-off time, otherwise they will be sent at midnight. The settings and filters for this particular type, so your diary automation, you want to make sure that the diary is set. You can set up multiple of these for multiple diaries if you are planning on sending next day texts for various diaries. So by that, I'm meaning for your consultations diary, and you might have a farm diary, and you might have an equine diary. You can set them all up to send automatically. The dry state or diary state is also one you need to make sure is set. You'll need to make sure, or by default, I should say, the dry state will be 0, which is booked. So only those that are showing in a white color. If you are also wanting confirmed appointments to be receiving these texts as well, you can make it send for both as well. In version 6 and when sending manually, you don't have that option. You can only send for those that are due. So in this case, you can send for multiple levels of confirmation. You also want to make sure that the comms for is set. The default for this is notification. This is the type of message that would normally be sent when not automated. So the notification message is the one that is standardly sent out for your next day texts. If you're sending them in bulk naturally and currently, that is the notification message that's being sent. There are other options in there, and you can have different messages for each of those. The confirmation one is usually sent at time of booking. Notification is usually sent for your next day texts, and the reminder is usually sent manually from right-clicking on the appointment. So just be aware of that when picking which default one you're wanting to use. We also have the same date select that we had before for the appointment date. This is selecting how far in advance we're sending these reminders. Are we sending them today +1, which is for tomorrow, or are we sending them for a week in advance or something like that? I am aware some clinics like to send them only a day before, and there are others that like to send them multiple days in advance. And you can do that with this. When you're happy with your settings, you save and it's done. We do have other automation options. Most bulk mailers, etc., that you can send through VetLink, you can also automate. If there's something, of course, that you're wanting to automate. So setting them up is very similar to any of the other kinds, but we're meaning automation such as welcome letters or birthday letters. We can definitely do that automatically for you. So you set them up the same way you would either if you already have the mailer that you're wanting to send. So same as I mentioned at the beginning, finding the mailer, right-clicking and selecting automate, or creating new, which I've just gone through a couple of times. The ones that are new, again, name the automation, and you can then pick whichever table link is relevant to the item you're sending. So make sure that it has CLN in the table if you're planning on sending stuff with clients involved. If you're wanting to send something specific for a particular animal, you want to make sure that the ANM is available. So if you're sending a birthday mailer, you'll want to make sure you've got the ANM filters in there. If you're doing a welcome letter, you'll want to make sure you've got the CLN or client ones. So you can set whatever methods of communication you're wanting as well. Make sure that that's saved. Again, setting how frequently you want these to be sent, how you're wanting them to be sent, SMS or email, and whether you want to send any filters relevant to what you're sending. So I've got up on the screen here kinds of filters that you can set. So if you're sending a welcome letter, you might want to make sure that the first visit was with, for example, within the last 7 days. Or if you're sending a birthday message for a happy birthday Fido, you'll want the animal's birthday settings to be within a particular range for you. But there are a wide variety of things that you could send. Some things to be aware of and to remember. So firstly, all automations are generated at midnight. So be aware of that. They are also sent at whatever you've set the cutoff time to be. If you have not set a cutoff time, the default is midnight. Also, each automation only sends one communication. So if you're planning on sending multiple communications to a client, for example, you don't want to send an SMS or an email, you want them to receive both, you will need to set up 2 separate automations for this. It also means that you will need to be setting one up per, for example, your reminders. You'll want to set up one per time you plan on contacting the client. So you might want to set up one for they're due for vaccinations in a month, another for they're due now, and another one they were due 3 weeks ago. They would need to each have their own automation. Reminders also can be excluded from being added to the reminder automation if you're wanting it to. This is done by going to the reminder through pick lists and just ticking on that particular reminder, exclude when sending mailers for all reminders. If it is ticked there, that particular one will not be sent. Or any reminders of that type, I should specify. You can also create reminder-specific templates. So that, again, similar area, options, pick lists, miscellaneous reminder types. I think the image is better there. If you tick use rem-based templates, the templates tab will become available, which you can then add templates specific for that particular reminder. And those templates will be sent instead of whatever the default is. You also have the option to exclude diary reasons from being sent. This is usually done, for example, you're not wanting to send a reminder for euthanasia, or you're not wanting to send a reminder to a client because that particular reminder is for staff to give the client a call. So that can be done under the specific diary reason. So options, pick lists, diary reasons. If you're multi-branch, you'll see what I've got on the screen here. You click select branch and then change the notification area to be excluded if you're not wanting it to be sent. Alternatively, if you do not have multi-branch, there will be a notification area that you can click on to change from included to excluded. And that will just be on the main diary reason itself instead of having to click select branch first. So that was everything from my end. Is there any questions or anything that people would like some more information on? Just check the Q&A and chat to see if there's anything that has been mentioned. Someone's mentioned sharing the deck. If you're meaning the slides I've got, yes, they will be online tomorrow, to my knowledge. We have our web developer pop them up online for you. I'm not seeing any other questions. Okay. If that was all, I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. If not, feel free to flick us an email or give us a call if you're wanting some additional information. Okay. See you.